Hi everyone, today I'm going to be making a bookish video, and that's so exciting to me because I haven't uploaded one in months because of my health issues. So I'm going to put a little disclaimer about my health issues here. I have been more poorly than I've said online. So some of these have been sent by publishers, and well, when you're a YouTuber there's no kind of written content to say you will have read these things by the time they're out or anything, but it's usually good courtesy, and I actually feel terrible because I love the books I'm about to show you, and I'm really upset that I haven't been able to like show them before they were out, if you know what I mean. I feel like I've let the publisher down and I've let you down because you haven't been able to like get your hands on it while it was fresh. Yeah, I think that's it really. Just a disclaimer before I start this video, most of these books have been sent to me by publishers. The only one that hasn't is Eliza and Her Monsters. So the first book is The City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Now this is not a new book, but this edition is. So I had never read this series before, and I actually really enjoyed it. I'd seen the film, but I wouldn't get a fan on that. But the opportunity arose to get a review copy of this, the 10th anniversary edition. Now I'd say if you're a big fan, this is definitely worth a buy because it's absolutely beautiful. So the cover is all silver and metallic, and so is the back. And then there's like art, and there's maps, and sort of at the back there's like there's even more art and cave files and things like that. And this is only £15, and I know only £15, it is a lot of money for a book, but if you think about other hardback books that are this detailed and gorgeous, they're often more than that. So I think that for the size of the book you're getting, it's a really good buy, and I liked that the print wasn't too small, they haven't fallen into that trap. It was just great. So if you don't know, the City of Bones starts when 15-year-old Clary Frey goes out into a club. I think it was called the Pandemonium Club, and she witnesses a murder, but no one else can see that murder or even any blood at all, and then their body just disappears. Then she begins to wonder if this boy is even a boy at all, and it follows her through different worlds, and it was one of those books where you have to read a few chapters, take a step away, read a few more, take a step away, to sort of get your head into that world, but once you're in it you're fully enthralled. Next up is a book that will be no surprise to anyone that writes to me because I've been writing about this book quite a lot, Eliza and Her Monsters. I bought this with a token I got from my old school from the awards ceremony, so I've been wanting to read this book for ages. I think it came out roughly when I started BookTube, so the like hype's died down now. I always wait until after the hype, just in case it's a letdown. Now Eliza runs the most successful webcomic in the world, but at school she is a nobody, and everyone is really horrible to her basically. Then a new boy joins her school who turns out to be someone significant online, and she doesn't know whether to tell him or not and what the repercussions of that may be. I loved that it normalised having friends solely online, because I have a lot of friends that I've never met, like Georgina from Georgina Reads, and Jem from Glinting Gimbals, which is a blog on WordPress, and a few others, and people that, you know, in letters I haven't met them, do you know what I mean, but it doesn't make them any less of a friend. And I liked that on here that was like just a normal taken thing, except from by the adults. It's quite a long book, but if you enjoyed Fangirl and that kind of narrative, it's I'm not saying that to compare the story and compare like the plot, I'm saying that to compare the kind of like warm, bumbling along kind of plot that I really enjoy. Okay, so next up I have more letters of note and letters of note. Now this was very kindly sent to me by the publisher to celebrate the paperback edition coming out. That was a couple of months ago now, but as I said at the start of the video, I have been very sick. But I'm so glad they're in paperback because they are more okay for my hands, if that makes sense. So I have a book rest that I put things on because my hands hurt a lot. But it's got every really famous person you can think of and really interesting letters. So I remember there was one from the Queen to a president, maybe Roosevelt, with her recipe for drop scones and things like that. So on the back, Iggy Pop, Katharine Hepburn, Leonardo da Vinci, John F. Kennedy, Mick Jagger, Charles Dickens, Elvis Presley. So you get the idea of the kind of people that these letters are centred around. And there's a little explanation next to every single letter. So you understand who the person is if you don't know them. Now I think these are a great alternative to a coffee table book. So often coffee table books are very expensive. Just have loads of pictures in and you can sit and flick through them for 5 minutes, and I guess that is the concept of a coffee table book. But with these, so this one is $7.19.99. You get whole letters that you can just flick in and out of, and so if you were going back to it multiple times, you'd still have things to read, whereas if you'd spent that $12.99 on just that picture book, then you've looked at it. I think it's a really good investment for people that have a lot of people around at their house for coffee, or if you're just interested in more modern history. I find that really easy to connect to, and it sort of brings a famous person down from being famous to just being a normal person writing a letter. Next up I have The Facts of Life by Paula Knight. I absolutely loved this graphic novel. I was going to meet Paula at the Lakes International Comic Arts Festival a few months ago, but unfortunately she couldn't make it because she was unwell. But this graphic novel centres around her chronic illnesses and trying to get pregnant, and that kind of stigma around not having children and going through fertility treatment and how that affects you and how you're brought up to have children, and it's never thought you might not be able to have children. I loved her style of drawing. I just think it's so pretty. Like, look how gorgeous these are. It follows her from a child right to the present day, and I do know since then she's had further chronic illness diagnoses, and yeah, it was heartbreaking and reassuring at the same time because her life hasn't fallen apart because she hasn't had children. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but until you're in that position, I don't know if anyone knows how they're going to react or feel. And it's amazing that she's written this graphic novel to make less people feel alone and to bring the topical conversation into normal life, just normalising it, having that conversation about not having children. Next up, and this is the final book, is 1,000 Coloured Castles by Gareth Brooks. Now this is a really interesting book. If I'm honest, if I'd have seen it in the bookshop, I would have looked at it and gone, that looks quite confusing, I'm not going to read that. But it was so like different to read, and I'm so glad I did because the story was amazing. So it follows this character as she starts seeing things that she cannot explain, you know, just when she's out and about, and they're pretty terrifying things, and she doesn't know why, and everyone thinks she's got dementia or something else, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there is a resolution to the story. You do get told at the end what is up, and I really loved that. And it's nice that rare illness and rare phenomenon success at that word, phenomenon, is brought into the mainstream, and and is seen. This recently won a huge book award in America, and I think very rightly so, because it is very, very original. None of the characters have faces. They remind me of those, it might just be in the UK, but those statues that, you know, you get people for their christening or their dog, they've got a new dog or a child, and they have no face. I always found them very, very creepy, but reading this book, it works really well because the scene around the character gives away what their facial expression would be, rather than needing to tell the reader what the facial expression is. Okay, so that is it. I really enjoyed filming that. If any of you have been reading anything recently, let me know. If you fancy sending me a letter, please do, or an email. I think I'm going to be trying to write something on my blog soon. It's been a long time. I looked, it's been like October the last time I wrote, which is crazy. But life's been getting in the way, so hopefully we'll be okay on that front. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye.